Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tic Tac Taiko. This week I'm launching a new series called Teaching Taiko, but it's not just for Taiko teachers. It's for people who teach Taiko, those who might someday teach Taiko, and even students. I'm launching this series by talking about a topic that trips up a lot of instructors, and not just Taiko instructors, instructors of all art forms. And that's when you have a class or a group of students with a wide range of skill levels. So stick around and we'll work through it together. There are a lot of Taiko instructors out there. You have instructors who teach single groups as well as who teach multiple groups. And you have people out there like me who teach online, who travel and teach workshops around the country, and who teach at conferences when they pop up. But there's one thing that I have access to that no other instructor does, and that's of the last 5 main North American Taiko conferences, all of the survey data. Whether you rated something 1 to 5, whether you said this was great or I didn't like this at all, everything you did came through me, got compiled, and then sent out in a digestible form. And this information is used for a lot of things. It helps workshop leaders understand what they did well, maybe what they can improve on. It helps the organizing committee decide what they may or may not want to do in the future. And it helps future workshop selection committees determine who maybe they want to invite back or who maybe they think deserves another chance, stuff like that. It's really valuable information, but it's just sitting there. In between conferences, it just sits there on hard drives. At least it sits on my hard drive, and it seems like a shame. It is a wealth of information that I think can be put to use. But I'm going to be really careful. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to mention specific workshops. All that information is going to stay anonymous. What I want to tap into is all the comments that people made. When they said, I like this, I don't like this, I wish this would happen, I wish this would happen less. After doing that for years and years and years, patterns start to show. And I'm going to combine that information with my own experiences, both as a student and an instructor, to make this series. And like I said in the beginning, we're going to start off our series by talking about how to handle teaching a group when you have a wide range of skill levels. To start us off, I want to give 2 experiences that I had. One as a student and one as an instructor. It won't take long. Back in 1999, I had been playing Taiko for 6 years. I went to the 2nd North American Taiko Conference in Los Angeles, and I signed up for a workshop that was focused on fundamentals and foundational work. In that workshop, we had someone who had no Taiko experience. They were a Western percussionist, and I gotta give that person credit. It takes a lot of guts to come to a conference to sign up for something when you don't know the art at all. So good for that person. Unfortunately, the instructor, someone very well known in the Taiko community, spent a lot of time with that one person. That person needed a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but it came at the expense of everybody else, the other, 29 of us or so. So my memory of that workshop is basically sitting there playing the same rudiments over and over and over and over again with little to no feedback. And I remember that as the worst workshop I've ever taken. Now, on the other side, as an instructor, back in April of this year, I was teaching Katsugi Okedo workshops at Asano Taiko US. One of them was a beginning level Katsugi Okedo workshop. In that workshop, the advertisement I put out there said, no previous Katsugi Okedo experience needed. And as we were going around the circle doing some brief introductions, I had a couple, husband and wife, say they had never played Taiko before. Technically, they've never had Katsugi Okedo experience, so yeah, they fit the criteria. And I started to panic a little bit. I had not prepared to teach arguably the hardest form of Taiko playing, Katsugi Okedo, to people who have never touched a Taiko before. And on top of that, to make it more fun, the wife said this was a birthday present for the husband who was a percussionist. No pressure at all. Now, I will admit, in those few seconds that they were explaining the situation, I started to worry. I started to worry a lot. It felt like many, many minutes of worry, but it was probably like 20 seconds in reality. And then I remembered a quote from Kenny Endo, which I will probably butcher, so I apologize. Every time you play Taiko, you are someone's first experience and someone's last experience. And it hit me. I was determined to give this couple their best first experience and maybe their best last experience too. And I was gonna do it while still making sure that everybody else in my class had the best experience they could as well. Part of me was saying, all right, come on. You think you're such a good improviser? Come on, think on the fly. And also, come on, you think you're a good teacher? Come on, you pride yourself on teaching well. What can you do? And I think I did a good job. In the end, I think I did a good job. I think everybody was happy. Admittedly, I wouldn't want to do that again, at least not often, or at least not unplanned and often. But honestly, yeah, I think it turned out really well, where it could have really fallen apart. Those are my two biggest experiences with this issue. But now let's talk about, what do you do? How do you deal with a group of widely ranging skill levels? I want to give you 3 ideas that really help me out, and they prove themselves to work in real practice. Number 1, don't panic. Now I realize this is very ironic when I nearly panicked in that last story I was telling. But if you panic, if you start to tell yourself this is going to go bad, oh no, you're very likely to psych yourself out and actually do the thing you're worried about happening. This mood often then gets across to your students who may not understand exactly what's going on, but might start to feel like maybe this isn't going to be a really good workshop, or maybe the instructor is struggling. You don't want to get that across. It's okay not to feel like things are going to be great. It's okay to feel like maybe things are slightly out of control, but it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. The class is going to be okay. The students are going to be okay. Don't psych yourself out and make a self-fulfilling prophecy. Unless your students start catching on fire, and then in which case I'm wondering what drill you're doing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Number 2, teaching up. We're going to spend a little bit of time here because this one's kind of meaty. Let's say, for example's sake, I have an even number of beginning, intermediate, and advanced students. Usually it's not even, and there's often gray areas in between, but we're just going to do that for this example. I'll start by teaching the beginning group beginning material. I mean, it makes sense, but it's purposeful. The beginners then have something to engage with right off the bat. When I get to the intermediate material, the beginners are going to be challenged, and I tell them this is what I want. When they get to the advanced material, I tell them you may not even get this in this workshop, and that's okay. But now you know what you can achieve if you practice, if you try. However, if I know I'm going to have a wide range of skill levels, if I can prepare, I often try to make sure the beginners have something to do during the advanced material rather than just sit around, like playing a simpler version. And then we get to the intermediate group. The intermediates are going to do the beginning level stuff and probably not going to be challenged, but I tell them to try to find a challenge. Maybe the way I explain it is different. Maybe they can approach it or find a different angle that makes it just a little more difficult so they don't just coast through it. And then when I get to the intermediate material, that's just like when the beginners get to the beginning material. It's nothing different. And then when I get to the advanced material, the intermediates will struggle, just like the beginners struggle with the intermediate material. And finally, the advanced group. This one requires a little bit of different handling. I start the advanced group off with the beginning material. Everybody starts there. The problem here is a lot of the advanced people might get bored really easily. They might feel like this is a complete waste of time and disengage and shut off. And even if you win them back, you've lost some ground. And I try not to lose any ground as much as possible. So I tell them, really try to challenge yourself and give them things to challenge themselves. So on the beginning material for the advanced group, I might say, if you find this easy, try playing it with your left hand. Or when you're matching me, try to make sure your bachi height is the same as mine, or make sure your stance is nice and wide. Find things that will challenge them so that they stay engaged. And when you go to the intermediate material, they're still not going to be as challenged, but you continue that pushing, you continue that finding ways to challenge them. And when we get to the advanced material for the advanced group, this is when I start to spend a lot of my one-on-one time. That one-on-one time can be facing across from them or playing alongside them or talking them through certain things, working it out, spending maybe a couple of minutes worth each person that I'm not necessarily spending here. I will a little bit, but I'm reserving a lot of it for here because I don't want them to feel like this is a waste of time. I want them to really feel that engagement, and they've been waiting patiently all through the first 2 levels. And this is what I call the teaching up method. I'm addressing everybody's skill level by going through beginning, intermediate, and advanced level material. Of course, there's a lot more that's actually happening, a lot more I could talk about it, but I'm just giving you the bare bones so you have an idea. You have something you can work with. And finally, number 3, acknowledgments. Acknowledgments are different from one-on-ones. They're like 50% of the effort with 80% of the payoff, give or take. So here are a couple of examples. Let's say you're doing beginning level material and you've got advanced students who are nailing it, as you would expect. I might find one and say, hey, John, that is an excellent example. That's exactly how I would do it. Good job. Or Jane, everyone, Jane is basically the model that I want you to watch when I'm not playing. Or if you can't see me, follow Jane. Jane's doing an excellent job. So think about how you would feel if you were John or Jane and you were acknowledged and recognized by the instructor. You probably would feel pretty nice, like, hey, that was a nice thing, but you're also feeling accountable because now you have eyes on you from other students. So whereas you might have sort of slacked off or kind of taken it easy, it's not too hard, now all of a sudden, oh crap, people are watching me. I gotta be a little more responsible. So it has a couple of purposes. I might also pick, say, a beginner who's struggling with intermediate or maybe advanced level material, not someone who I know is going to be self-conscious about being seen, but someone who might be almost getting it and say something like, Jack, you are so close to getting it. Like, just keep on doing that. Keep on trying. By the end of the workshop, I know you're going to nail it. Jill, it's okay. Don't worry. You may not get it this workshop, but the amount of progress you've made shows me that by the next time I see you, you're going to absolutely have this. You will have this down pat. And those little acknowledgments have huge impact, but they don't require the time of a one-on-one, yet they make a person feel seen. They make a person feel good. They make a person feel engaged, and they also want to then engage more with the material. By no means is this an exhaustive list. I mean, really, I listed 3 whole things. There's a lot more than 3 things you can do, but I don't want this video to go on forever and ever and ever, like, some of my other videos. I want to stop here and ask you, my viewers, what worked for you? If you're an instructor and you've dealt with this before, what worked and what didn't? If you're a student and you've seen instructors handle this, what worked for them? What didn't work for them? I want this series to be a learning series, not just me going blah, 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 but for the community to talk and share experiences so that we all learn, because that's the point of this whole channel. And one last thing. This series is, yes, designed to help people who are teaching Taiko, especially those who might be new to teaching and don't have a lot of experience or resources to tap into. But you never know when you're going to wind up being that person who gets kind of thrown a class to teach something or given some students and told, hey, go teach them that song. Without experience teaching, the first many times teaching is kind of nerve-wracking. So if you have these tools in your back pocket, even if you don't remember them all, you'll remember something, it'll come in handy. But if you're just a student, learning about what your instructors struggle with can help you be a better student, which makes their job easier, which then in turn helps you in your learning. It's that type of awareness that can make an instructor's life so much easier. It doesn't mean that you have to worry about making a mistake. An instructor is going to deal with what the instructor deals with. But the more aware you are, the more aware other students are, the better off everybody is. And in addition to getting comments on this week's specific topic, I would love to hear from people about what they think of the idea of this series of teaching Taiko. Maybe it's giving you ideas. Maybe there are things that you would like to hear me address and talk about for the future. Let me know in the comments below. You can email me, find me on social media, whatever works. If you liked the video, let me know with a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, keep on practicing and be well.